OK, well, let's get stuck in then to the 3 o'clock at Newbury. It's the Ladbrokes Trophy. Of course, it's been known as the Hennessy for the last 50-odd years and probably will be known as that for the next 50 years. But it's absolutely the Ladbrokes Trophy. Well done to them for stepping in. Hope the sponsorship goes well. Hope they get a great race. It looks a really intriguing contest as ever. Frank, give us the latest betting from Paddy Power.
Yeah, Total Recall is 5-1 favourite. American and Single Farm Payment are 6-1. Whisper 8-1. A Genie in the Bottle 11-1. Beat the Rock 12-1. Coney Grief 14-1, and we're 16-1 bar.
OK, Keels, because you're back after a long absence, it's only right and proper that you go first. Who wins the
Yeah, well, interesting. We still don't really know what the ground's going to be, but we do know that the going stick moved quite a lot from Thursday to Friday morning. I was saying to a guy on Twitter, I walked my dog this morning, there was no dew about, and it was noticeably a lot drier. Now, the front two in the market, Total Recall and American, are both very much soft ground dependent, and I think it's going to dry out too much for the pair of them. So I'd take them on. Single Farm Payment is probably the obvious one, having been second at the Cheltenham Festival, but I just worry about him because it's a real long run in at Newbury. I'm not sure he wants one that long. I think head of the market, I think Whisper is perfectly solid. Obviously beat the horse of Clan des Obeaux, that's it, of Paul Nicholls at Kempton in a match. Now, obviously with a match you wonder how good that form is, but then Clan des Obeaux has come out and given weight to a bunch of horses, a bunch of decent improvers at Haydock, and beat him easily last Saturday, so I think that form's very solid. And one that was a much bigger price earlier in the week of Alan King's Label des Obeaux. I think that horse will really like the stamina test, and there'd be my two against the field. But I was looking at the list of the winners just the other day, and I had a look down, and I'm thinking, no, and I got all the way down to 1984, and Borough Hill Lad the last time I backed the winner.
That was the last time, was it?
So hopefully the name change from the Hennessy to the Ladbrokes might make a difference.
33 years ago, David Jennings wasn't even born. David, who's going to win the Ladbroke Trophy?
Yeah, I agree with Paul, Bruce. I think of the ones at the top of the market, I think Whispers is by far the most solid. It's funny, I know he won a Coral Cup and he was just beaten in the RSA, but I actually think he's better on left-handed flat tracks. Like, his two best performances arguably came at Aintree in the Liverpool Hurdle, which he won twice, and I remember he won a handicap one day by a mile at Newbury a couple of years ago. I think he's done fine since he's gone over fences, and that run against Clan des Obeaux at Kempton, Clan des Obeaux never missed a beat that day. Whisper did an awful lot wrong. He was a little bit groggy. It was a typical reappearance, made a couple of mistakes. And the fact that he was still able to get up after the last and beat him, and he won by half a length, like he was value for a little bit more, that was really, really solid comeback, I thought. I think this race will suit him. I think, as I said, of those at the top of the market, I think he's the most solid. Like, Total Recall, like, I know Tom Siegel is talking about this horse a potential outsider for the Gold Cup, but to me it's a bit like, Pep Guardiola maybe taking over Everton and winning his first game 5-0, but then being asked to go and win in Stamford Bridge or something. I just don't know if he can improve the horse from a mark of 129 to, like, he's going to be near a 160 horse probably to win this, or certainly mid 150s, and that's a hell of a lot of improvement. So I'd be against Total Recall. I think Whisper is a solid one, and one at a big price, because I think you're allowed two in a race like this. I think Missed Approach could go well at 25-1. Like, he led over the third last in the Scottish National. He was second in the 4-miler. He's already hammered labelled as Obeaux at Lingfield on heavy ground. I would prefer if the ground was a little bit softer, but he's in first-time blinkers, and I think 25-1 is a big price.
OK, and Frank, what about you?
I've been having my eye on one with a long time. American, to me, I can accept the point that lads make about the ground, but I don't think, as long as there's digging it, which there should be, it's not going to be good spring ground. Like, it's going to be good to soft. And I think once it's digging it, this thing is a tool. Like, the performance he put up last year at Warwick, beating Champers and Ice, you could argue in retrospect it wasn't the strongest race ever, but he did it so impressively. He's just a relentless galloper, which I think this race that's what you want. He'll be up near the front. He'll keep going. Like, the day he went to Uttoxeter in a handicap of 148, and he absolutely laughed at them. Rock the Casbah's come out, won at Chepstow since. The fourth, Must Meet a Lady, won at Haydock the next time. And the fifth, Pennine, won last weekend at Haydock. Like, that form is working out tremendously well. And if there's one horse in this field that's going to destroy him, he's the one. Like, Total Recall off 148. David's given a better, maybe a better, more nicer analogy than I was going to. I was saying it's a bit like taking an ugly person and giving them a makeover. They're still ugly, but just a little less ugly. And that's what this fella is. Like, off 148, don't be like anyone backing that and want their head examined at 5-1. Honest to God. This American, he's the one horse. I can second what the lad said about Whisper. He is the most solid because you have the slight question mark about the ground with American. But he's giving £4 to American, and you know, if this ground was soft, I'd say get everything you have and bang it on him. But the ground is a small question mark. Now, as David said, you like to throw a second dart. If I was putting one up at a price, I'd be with David on Mr. Approach. He's good for that. He won a handicap hurdle, albeit off a far lower mark, very easily a couple of years back. Second in the 4-miler, stamina is assured. Obviously likes the track. 25-1, Richard Johnson on board. I could see him going well at the price. But for me, I'd be gutted if American doesn't win.
And Frank, isn't American part of your absolute life-changing anti-post multiple that's already got one in the bank, isn't it?
Yeah, he's leg 2. We've won up. This is leg 2.
Who was the first leg? Withhold?
No, Bristol Demai.
Bristol Demai, of course it was. Right. Excellent. Okay, jolly good. So you're in for a few quid with this one by the sound of it. Okay, well done, lads. That's a great start to summarise. David and Paul both like Whisper. Frank likes American and long shots. Paul likes Label des Oboe, and David and Frank like Mr. Approach. Okay, that was nice and simple. The 150 is the Ladbroke Handicap Hurdle. What's the latest betting, Frank?
Air Horse 1 is 7-2. Master Dancer 5-1. Old Guard and Jebelani 6-1. Court Minstrel 7-1. Court Leon 8-1, and we're 10-1 bar.
DJ?
The favourite is pretty solid, but the one I just can't understand why it's such a big price is Dino Velvet at 16-1 for Alan King. Like, this horse was 8th in the Fred Winter last year. It was beaten less than 10 lengths, and it made a desperate mistake, I think, at the 4th or 5th, and it got a desperate passage the whole way through. I thought he was value for finishing closer. He just blew up on his return to action in that listed handicap hurdle at Chepstow behind Silver Streak. I thought he ran better than finishing 5th suggests. He's been dropped £2. Like, he was 8th in the Fred Winter off 125. He's been dropped to 123. He's only carrying 10 stone, and he's 16-1. I think he should be single figures.
Frank?
For me, I would side with Master Dancer. Now, I'm not overly confident, but he just seems a reformed character. He came back on the flat after a short break in September at Chepstow, and he won by 10 lengths off a mark of 64. He's raised to 75, and that still probably could underestimate him. Then he went to Cheltenham off a mark of 117, and again, while it wasn't the strongest race in the world for a Cheltenham handicap, he turned into an unbelievable procession. He's been raised to 129. And just the manner of those 2 wins, he's still only a 6-year-old. I think he's just improved enormously. I'd chance him. 5-1 is fair enough. I think he's if he keeps improving, I think he could be tough to beat.
Who are you going to be backing, Paul?
I've thought for ages that Air Horse 1 is very solid. I mean, he's short enough, but I mean, that 4th to Elgin has worked out so well. Elgin's won the Greatwood, the second limited reserve, won by 8 lengths next time. The 5th, Verdana Blue, hacked up again next time at Ascot. So I mean, it's rock solid form. You know, I'm an old fan of Old Guard, who I backed in the Greatwood at big prices. Just think the ground might be sticky on the hurdles course, and it might just be a little bit too much for him. And the one I keep coming down to, I'm pretty sure it's not the best handicap horse in the race. Alan King's Coeur de Lion. I am absolutely certain he's crying out to go 2.5 miles though, because he just got outpaced at Wincanton in the elite hurdle and then ran on again. We've got
he
Kevin.
He ran a funny race, didn't he?
Yeah, he just desperately wants to go up in trip, and he's going to get this. Now, I don't think he's the best handicap horse in the race by a long, long way. But he has got Kevin Dowling on, who's claiming 10. He rode a winner for Alan King yesterday. And I think he's quite tidy for a £10 claimer as well. And so I'll probably give him a chance each way to show that, this is the trip he really wants. So I think there's improvement to come.
The 225 is the Ladbrokes Intermediate Hurdle. You will know it as the Jerry Field. And what's the latest betting, Frank?
Charlie Parks is 5-2, High Bridge 7-2, Mount Muse 4-1, Poppy Kate 13-2, Amour de Nuit 7-1, and we're 8-1 bar.
And we will stick with you because the very name Charlie Parks always makes me think of Frank Hickey. Are you going to be unloading on this beast today, Frank?
Oh, very tough, Bruce. I was talking to David earlier about this, and I was like, my heart is telling me back Charlie Parks. He's still got the ability, and we haven't seen the best of him. And my head says, Frank, you're mental. I think, look, I know he worked, he had a racecourse gallop at Newbury the other day with Bouverdare and Divin Beer, and look, he travelled really well in that, but those pieces of work, you can't tell much. The vibes are, he's working really well and he's coming into himself. The only thing you'd worry about is that he's a bit of a morning glory. Now, if he could repeat the first run at Kenton last year, I think he would win this. My heart is going to probably lead me to back him, but I think if you're probably looking for the safer bet, High Bridge, the form of the Ascot run is just working out tremendously well. The winner Elgin obviously won the Great Wood. The second Limerick Reserve tacked up at Haydock. The fifth Verdana Blue won well at Ascot last week, and the 10th Dallas won a chase at Ascot last week too.
And the fourth is going to win the race before, according to Kills.
Well, so
that race worked out tremendously well. And look, he's 2 from 2 at Newbury as well, so everything is in his favour. But there's just something in my head saying Charlie Parks, we haven't seen the best of him yet, and I'm going to side with him. But High Bridge is the one for the safe bet.
Kills, who are you going to be siding with?
Yeah, Charlie Parks is one of those bridle horses, isn't he? Didn't he just get found out at Cheltenham? I think, I can't have him as favourite. I think he's got a lot to prove. High Bridge is a solid one. Obviously, that Ascot form was amazing. But I was struck by Mount Muse last time at I think it was Weatherby, wasn't it? No, it was Ayr on heavy ground. And he looked a really, really decent improver last year. And he was actually made odds on for his return at Ayr on heavy ground. And I thought he was beaten after a furlong. I just didn't think he was ever travelling. But he kept putting his head down and he ran on into third. And I think that, I think he's going to come on an absolute ton for that. I just think it was a massively needed run. And I think he's quite a decent horse. And I'll take the chances with him.
Would you say that you built up a lot of good form study and horses to note while you were off? I mean, what were you doing in hospital? Were you punting or
in hospital? I mean, for the first few days in hospital, I was just spaced out on morphine. I could barely speak properly. It's just apparently to all my mates I was talking nonsense. So no, I wasn't watching much. I was doing a bit of punting on my phone, but I would actually go to sleep thinking I'd won loads of money and then wake up in the morning and there was nothing there. It was bonkers.
Well, that's actually happened to you after a few late night poker sessions, hasn't it?
Yeah. But in the week I was at home, I watched loads of races and punted and actually won a few quids.
And of course now, Kills, we've got the race replays back on the website, haven't we? So that always helps the study, doesn't it?
Yeah. Just one click away.
So that's all good news. Okay, DJ, who wins the 225?
Yeah, one of us is going to back the winner, Bruce, because we're all picking one of the top three in the market. My whole weekend is going to revolve around High Bridge, Bruce. I can see where Frank is coming from. Charlie Parks could be the real deal. We just don't know, but he hasn't done it. And I'm all for these bridle horses that work really well in the mornings, and apparently he's one of the few horses that might enter yours in a piece of work. But I just would love to see him go do it. And the fact of the matter is, the High Bridge has gone and he's done it. I think he's a real flat track bully. I really do. His two best performances have been at Newbury, and on his return to action in that Ascot race, which is working out spectacularly well. You have to factor in to account that Ayr Horse 1 never left him alone the whole way up the home straight, kept veering to his left, nudging into him, and Alex Ferguson couldn't really get behind High Bridge. And High Bridge is not a bridle horse. He finds far more off it than he does on it. And I think he was actually value for finishing even closer to Elgin, who obviously won the Great Wood. He's gone up £4, but Alex Ferguson knows this horse so well that he's a kind of a free £7, really. I think High Bridge is made for Newbury, and I could see him taking it up on the home turn, and I don't think they're going to get to him. He beat Azerti and Multicultural by 2.25 lengths back in February, but he could have won by a lot more. He was valued for a lot more than that. I think he's virgin on kind of Grade 2 class over hurdles, and I think he'll win, Bruce.
One more, Newbury. It's the 335, the Ladbrokes Handicap Chase. Have we got some betting, Frank?
We do there. If you just give me 1 second, I clicked off.
I'll tell you what Kills, you got it. Okay, away we go.
I'll give you the betting.
Overtown Express is 7-2, Baby King 9-2, Duke of Navan 5-1, Maracuja 11-2, the Enval 6-1, and we're 12-1 bar.
Kills, you go.
Yeah, I'm amongst the 12-1 bars. I got half a feeling that Just Cameron was going to run well from the top of the weights. Needed the first run last time. But I prefer down near the bottom of the weights, Rock On Rocky. I thought he ran a fine race at Cheltenham last time. He's proper race fit as well now. That was his third run. He's been dropped £3 to that down to a mark of 120. He won off 123 at Sandown last year when he won 3 times on the spin. If you look at his form, nearly all his best form comes on tracks with long straights. So he's a real galloper at 2 miles. And I think off 10 stone 1 with Jamie Bargery taking £3 off, normally ridden by Stan Shepherd, who I'm assuming can't quite do the weight because he is still riding, but I'll take Jamie Bargery anyway. And I just, I cannot have Overtown Express at 7-2 favourite. I mean, he's a horse that has done all his winning on very, very soft ground. and got thrashed out of sight last time and has been beaten at short prices before. So I would take Rock on Rocky.
Rock on Rocky for kills. Who for you, DJ?
I like Duke of Navan, Bruce. I thought that was a really nice comeback at Aintree. He just got really tired. He jumped brilliantly the whole way that day, and he kind of fought back. He got a second wind after the last. He was only beaten a length and a half by Baby King. That was off a mark of 140. He's still on 140. He was rated much higher than this year. I think he was up to 147 or near enough 150 a couple of years ago, but he got an injury. He looks to have retained plenty of his ability, and Davy Russell has booked. Nicky Richard likes to book Davy whenever he's over. I just thought it was a really encouraging comeback effort at Aintree, and the fact that he's on the same mark now, I could take a bit of beating.
Okay, the Duke of Navan. You are the Duke of Navan, aren't you, DJ? Basically,
Yeah.
That's what
He
you're
named his
known
horse
as, I
after me,
believe.
yeah.
And Frank, have you got strong fancy here?
I wouldn't say strong, but I think the end battle could go very well. He went to every dance last season. It took him a while to get going. It took him 2 or 3 runs to really take to chasing. So therefore, I was kind of saying that his reappearance fourth, where he's well beaten in Ascot, you could probably forgive him that this season, and he fell at the first in the Bet Victor Gold Cup. He runs off 146 here, and I think this race isn't the strongest looking race ever when you compare it to, say, some of the races he ran in last year. Like, he was third in the Grand Annual off 141. He was second at Aintree, beaten by Double W's off 144. Second at Ayr behind Two Tafts off 148. And the day after that race against Two Tafts, he came out and ran second to Cloudy Dream with the likes of Old Grangewood, Candace O'Bowen, and Flying Angel behind. I think his mark of 146 is workable, and I can see him going very well. I think 6 to 1 is a very fair price.